What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Hill Homestead. This is the video you've all been waiting for. So to start, here's one of the piglets. This is a little boar, but we're gonna get to these guys in just a minute. First, we're gonna tell you guys about the signs and the symptoms that led us to believe that she was very close in labor, even though we were about 3 weeks off. Well, we can explain that too. Actually, one more thing before we get started on the video. I just want to point out that viewers' discretion is advised. There is a live birth process going on in this video. And I do also want to let you guys know that this could be a little bit longer video because we did the events and signs and symptoms that Betty was showing up until the day that she was farrowing, throughout her farrowing process, and then to current day. So these piglets will be 3 days old by the time you guys see this video. So you guys will see firsthand the stories that we have about these piglets, as well as the piglets themselves. In this video, we are officially on pig watch. Today is day 114. If our calculations and our times on her breeding line up, she is very close. She is not lactating yet, and that's typically a pretty good sign that it's a 24-hour window there in which she will give birth. So in this video, we hope to show you the pig birthing process, or as much that YouTube allows. We expect to talk about piglet care and the way we are going to approach this litter of piglets this time. With Betty in particular, we've had 2 different experiences as far as our piglets came. One of them being at night, and Betty, her last litter came during the middle of the day. I was at work. Thankfully, Des was home and was able to monitor the entire situation. The other sow that we had, sad story, long story short, her piglets were overdue. They were about 2 weeks past due, and we did not induce her, and her piglets were too big to pass, so we did have to process her. But hers were throughout the night, and that was a very exhausting process. But anyways, stay tuned, and we hope to show you some pig birthing here in just a little bit.
So one thing about Betty's last birthing experience that will be different from this one is last time Betty had her piglets down in the barn out of the main field that paddock that she was in. She went into the barn, and we feed them at the top of our hill, and the barn is at the bottom of the hill. And we do that for 2 reasons. 1, convenience. 2, it keeps the hogs nice and lean as they climb the hill and go back down for their food and water and bedding. So she had hers in the barn, and when I went to feed them that morning, only Dino came running out of the barn to eat up at the top of the hill. When I went into the barn, she was just kind of rooting around, trying to kind of find a spot to lay, but was up walking around. Didn't act or look any different at all. You can tell that she definitely was getting milk, but not like she has right now, mainly because it was her first litter. Now that she's had a litter, she's dropped a little bit more just from them nursing and whatnot. So that day I sat with her for a couple of hours, and nothing was different. I even brought her a bowl of food, and she even still ate some of her food. So I actually went to softball lessons, and then when I came back, she had laid down and had one. So within 2 hours, she went from no symptoms at all to a baby piglet on the ground. So she had them all unassisted. I was there just kind of as guidance, because pigs, due to vulnerability like many other animals, they'll go to a corner to have them away from the others. And where our barn was, kind of like how this corner is right here, she decided to back her butt up into the corner because that was less vulnerable for her. Like in the wild, if there was a predator come, she would be boxed in. So that is exactly what she did, and that is where has been laying now, is in this corner with either her butt back up in this corner, or she's been putting her butt right here back in this corner, which is one reason we went ahead and put the boards in for the piglets. A is so they don't lay on them. But B, this was put here because I was trying to avoid her being right up against this wall where I wouldn't be able to get to her as easy if she was struggling as where this corner is. So we've mentioned a lot about making sure that she goes unassisted. If she needs help, we will help pull if need be, but we like to be more of a self-sufficient homestead. And also right now, vets are very hard to come by in our area, as to where I think a lot of areas they are. So we try to be more self-sufficient and let her do it on her own. We do the same. We've done the same with our cows in the past. We will only help if absolutely necessary. So our last sow, Pebbles, it was necessary as she had multiple piglets stuck. We tried helping as much as we could there, but once again, due to only having a few vets in our area, they couldn't get her in that day. So we had to ultimately make that decision to butcher her. So in her pen, we've added this board here. We have it just high enough to where the piglets can go underneath and she can lay here so that her belly reaches underneath also. We've talked about how we don't want her to be able to roll. Last time, Betty was an amazing mom. She did not have one of these boards at all. Like I said, she went just free in the barn. When we added straw and bedding into the barn, you can always tell a good sow from not so good is whenever they go, before they lay down, they create a little tunnel with their nose almost and root straight into the ground to create a nice little tunnel to make sure that no piglets are underneath of the straw or in the straw at all. And that's exactly what she did. Every time she stood up, and go eat and got water, she would, before she went back down, she would root all the way along a little trail kind of where the straw was separated so that she could lay in that to make sure all the piglets got up out of the straw there. So this time, that's why we're not like super worried right now, because she has shown us that she is a really good mama in that sense. But just to be on the safe side, we put this here. We know that piglets don't regulate their body temperature. So a lot of times, especially when it's cooler in January and February, when a lot of piglets for fair projects are born, the piglets will go to their moms for body heat. So whenever it's cool like this, if there's not a heat source for the piglets to go to that's warmer than what cuddling up under their mom is, that's how a lot of them will get laid on. So when she lays down, a lot of the piglets will go to her to share her body heat because she is so hot. Pigs are so hot natured. So it's important to have heat lamps and heat sources that the piglets will go to instead of laying up against her so they don't get rolled on. We have one heat lamp going right now. We're making sure all the bulbs work and everything on it. Depending how many she has, we may have to add a second heat lamp here, just because the piglets will share their body heat as well and they'll pile up on top of each other. So it's good to have a second heat lamp. For example, of like the runt or some of the smaller piglets, you don't want those big guys piling up top because then you don't want anybody to get squished. So it's important to have plenty of heat sources for them.
So down here with Betty this morning, doing chores. I just went to check to see if she was in milk, and she was laying down, but she thought that I was a piglet, and she turned her belly up even more to ensure that I could see if any milk was coming out, which tells me that she's getting pretty close. She's swelling up a little bit more on her backside. So have a really good feeling that we either will have some Valentine's Day babies or shortly thereafter. All right, guys, so it seems that it is almost that time. I am getting a little bit of milk right now out of Miss Betty here, so that's a good indication that she's about 24 hours out from delivering these piglets. All right, guys, you can see she's getting close here because her teats are really swollen up and they're spraying milk at this point. So she's ready. It's just a waiting game at this point. She is very swollen. She has rooted around
And like say, she is producing milk out of her teats. This is exactly what Desiree said she did last time as far as rooting around. You can tell she's got a little ditch rooted up right there near that board. Moved her feed pan out of the way, and she has been on her feet quite a bit. Last night, what we did, instead of hanging out down here all night, is I set up a game camera. That is a cellular game camera that sends me pictures anytime she moves around. And I would wake up periodically last night, and instead of coming down here to check, I would just check that game camera and see if I could see any piglets. Woke up this morning, still no piglets, which means it will most likely be today at some point where she will be laying down. You can see her really trying to find a spot, very safe and secure for her piglets. So I'm gonna get these heat lamps turned on for them, because it's very important to get them warm as soon as they come out because of how wet they will be. And it is a fairly chilly morning this morning. So now that we've gotten all chores done, everybody settled in for the morning, everybody's fed, everybody's watered. I have a time lapse set up right here behind Betty to kind of hopefully catch her every move. I've got a little bit of work I got to finish up there at work before I can come back to the house here and work on the paperwork side of things. And hopefully by then, hopefully she holds out till I get home in case there are any complications, because I really would like to get those piglets underneath of those heat lamps. But we've got those warming up. They're up off the ground at a safe height to where I don't expect anything to happen to them. And they are out of her reach so that she can't grab them and pull them down. But as you can see behind me, she's still rooting around. I don't know if she's still trying to find a spot or what her plan is, but she is fed, so she is happy. I'll roll the time-lapse footage in case something does happen, and we'll see when we get back. All right, so she picked a nice rainy, wet, and cold day, but I think it is just about time. She is laboring, very uncomfortable, starting to push a little bit, and has her back end up against the fence, which is, you know, kind of nature for her. Is she'll try to back herself up against something to have these piglets. That's what she did last time. I do apologize if he's hard of hearing. The rain is bouncing off this tin roof pretty hard. So stay tuned. We will get into delivering some piglets here real shortly, I'm sure. Yeah. Hello. All right, our first little piglet is on the ground.
You're so cute.
If he feels dry to you, then I'll put him back. Come on, girl. There you go. Look at that. Look at you. Oh my goodness. Look at you.
I'm gonna go.
Look at the spots. Get your face cleaned off. All right, so it is the next morning, and I just wanted to give you guys a little update. So she gave birth to piglet number 10 at about 7:30 last night. And when Des got home, we hung out down here until roughly 10:30, 11 o'clock before we headed up to the house, because she had not given birth to any other piglets, and she was consistently giving another piglet every 15 to 20 minutes, and it had been 3.5 hours. So we knew that something wasn't right. We were just expecting her to pass the afterbirth a little sooner. But you know, she was mothering them. She got up and walked around a couple times, but we just had a gut feeling, and we should have went with our gut, because when I came down this morning to check, I saw 3 piglets that she had passed after we went to bed. But here's the kicker. I don't think that she gave birth to those piglets shortly after we left. I think that she was in labor up until about 4 or 5:30 this morning, because I came down and checked on them at 6:30, and that's when I found the 3 piglets. My gut says they were stillborn, and there was just no life when they were born, but they were fairly large piglets. They were 2 girls, 1 boy, giving her a total of 13 piglets on her second litter of piglets. So currently we still have 10. We have 5 boys, 5 girls, 5 gilts, 5 boars. And they are beautiful little piglets, and I am excited to show you guys the colors and things like that. But I think we're gonna wait until Des is available, and she's able to come and talk about them a little bit as well, because if you guys think I'm excited, it's not even close to how excited she is. It was absolutely killing her, because she had so much stuff going on with softball yesterday. She had pitching lessons, and then she went and had a softball flex day at the high school. With softball season approaching, that's what she's gonna be doing. Quite a bit of her evenings are gonna be spent there. But that's neither here nor there. we will get to showing you guys these individually and let you guys pick out your favorite one. The first thing we do every single morning is come down and check on these piglets since the day they were born. And even before they were born, we would check on Betty to make sure they weren't born. Well, as you guys saw, yesterday I came down and saw that she had 3 more piglets. But today, a much more disastrous scene of events could have happened. Thankfully it did not. And I will explain that, because as you can see how we have this farrowing crate set up, this 4x4 just runs across, giving them a little bit of space. Well, she got up under this 4x4 last night and pulled it out and had it on the ground, and then came over and crushed this heat lamp. And as you can see, that heat lamp is very burnt inside. The scary part about that situation is the fact that when I picked up the heat lamp, the bedding underneath, which was hay that it was laying on, was charcoal black. And there were sparks of embers inside of that were still very hot and causing it to smoke. Meaning our barn could have caught on fire last night or this morning if we wouldn't have gotten down here early enough to stop that from happening. So we did some resecuring of that board. It is much better now. It is also lower so she cannot get up underneath it. And I secured the sides to where she cannot slide it out and get in behind there. So I was always leery about heat lamps, but we thought that they would be okay. They were secured on the fence, but she broke the part that was secured to the fence, causing it to drop to the ground and nearly catch the hay underneath on fire. So we are going to attempt to show you each and every one of these gilts and boars, and Taryn's going to try to help us keep them separated so we know who we've showed you and who we have not. All right, so this one right here is a little boar. Pretty good size. All right, and this one is a little gilt. She's got a nice little racing stripe right here on her head. This is another gilt with her one white leg and a white hoof there. This is another little gilt. She's got 2 front white legs and a white back hoof. Here is another gilt with just 2 front. Okay, you're not happy. Next. And so far, the only piglet that has a name is this one. This is the runt of the litter, and this is Mouse. It's a little gilt. All right, these are both boars, and they are my 2 favorite as far as the color goes. Here is a nice red colored boar. And our red ones are also very mouthy. The two boars that I just picked up normally are not quite that loud.
Ready?
Yep. But the most dramatic of the bunch, I'm not sure if she'll do it in this video, is this little gilt right here. She screams when she's eating and nothing is happening to her. She is just a mouthy little girl. Is that all of them?
Yep.
And that is all 10 piglets. Various markings that Dino and Betty threw out, but they are all very beautiful piglets. They are all very healthy for now, and we hope to keep them all very healthy until they are ready to find their new homes. All right, guys, so I think that's pretty much going to button up this week's video. Like I say, I apologize it took this long. We really miscalculated. And whenever I figured out that, you know, she missed on the original due date that we thought, it would be roughly 18 days later. And it was pretty daggone close once we figured that part out. But there's a few takeaways from this entire process that we learned from. First and foremost, knowing and being able to examine her for the last month roughly on the changes that her body went through and the things that we can look for to effectively guesstimate when she is going to lay down and have her piglets. Her signs that she is ready, such as rooting through the ground and making certain types of beddings, things like that. As far as our farrowing pen goes, we do have farrowing crates that we showed you guys a few videos back. They do need some work done to them, and we have to acquire a few more things before we can effectively use those. But with this farrowing pen, we have had a few issues with her trying to get closer to the piglets and the 4x4 board not working out so well. We've had to move it and adjust it a few times to please her. Where we have it right now seems to be doing the trick for now, but that is one thing that we will be learning from here in the near future. Something that you guys can look forward to for the next video will be moving our new sows into the pen with Dino. He has been by himself long enough, and they won't come into heat for another 2 weeks or so. So that will get us in time for some summertime piglets, and we won't have to worry about the weather quite as much as far as the cold goes in that, and as well as castrating some piglets. These guys should be about a week and a half, week old when we want to do that. You want to get them as young as possible, so it's as easy as possible for them to recuperate and have less complications. So that is something that we can look forward to. We will show you what YouTube allows, but we do have some plans for the future of our YouTube channel. But with that being said, like I say, we're going to button it up here. I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys hanging out and waiting so long for this video to happen. We are glad it's here. We look forward to raising these piglets up for the next 6 to 8 weeks, and we will take you guys along that journey the entire way. But again, thanks. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and tell a friend about us. We will be having a lot of pig content because that is something that is new and growing here on the farm as of late. So, but thanks again. We'll see you next time.